Hello?
Oh, what happened? I don't know.
Hello?
I blame Boise, Idaho. That's what I blame.
There's potatoes
I blame
in
Boise, Idaho.
Is
There's
that where you
potatoes. So I'm in Boise, Idaho, and so much for that intro. So that's what's going on there. This isn't like video in Boise, Idaho. I'm just going to tell you that. Didn't like the intro.
Did you put that Star Wars thing up, or does your room come with that?
Oh no, that's a $2 purchase the other day at Marshall's in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Nice. What is it?
It's like a Star Wars, like it glows and stuff. But
neat.
I think the new game now while I'm traveling is to just put it around the hotel in random spots.
Cool.
Right. So that way it's kind of like, because you've always got stuff behind you. I'm always in a hotel with lights and some kind of weird thing. And I don't know. It doesn't.
Who knows what's under the bed at night at those places, man?
Right.
Do they still put a Bible in every it's usually in the dressing.
Should we play that game? Let's play that game because I am in Boise, Idaho.
Stand by.
Let me see.
Usually by the drawer. You know where it usually is. All right. We're checking to see. There. No Bible in the one side. Okay. How religious is Boise, Idaho? Let's see how far that would go. They used to have one. Like when I was a kid, there was always a Bible in the drawers. I'm thinking they don't have one.
That's a fun game to play. You know why? Because they do.
Oh, they do have one. Oh, okay, there you go.
Yes.
Look at that.
I'm just going to read a random passage. Here we go.
Oh, no.
Let's go with
why don't you steal it?
No, that would be wrong. Wouldn't that put me in a place?
Wouldn't that be kind of ironic, though, stealing the Bible? One, you should be forgiven for it.
Yeah, Ezekiel. Where should I go? Is anyone watching right now that wants me to read from the Bible? Here we go. Where's Isaiah? The book of Isaiah?
I don't know. Come on.
I'll get back. Next week will be the Bible.
You gotta highlight some pages when you're bored or some whatever.
Yeah. We're looking for a little help. Anyways, hello everybody. It is the Kids on the Escalator podcast. I am in Potato Land. Potato.
Idaho.
I know. I'm in Boise, Idaho. And we're hanging out. And we're going to cover
Idaho
a lot
like
of
to
things.
rock? Are the people in Idaho do they like to rock?
Well, what's the single greatest movie from Idaho?
I don't know. Footloose?
Moving. Richard Pryor.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I remember that one. Okay, yeah.
Now the house and the bones and everything, you can keep that, but the pool we're taking with us.
Yeah, I remember that too. That's great. That running joke through the whole movie, right? That was good.
The best. Dana Carvey with everything. Oh my God, yeah. My buddy Cliff, who we're gonna bust his balls a little bit today. He was I remember watching that at his place a lot, and the Dana Carvey thing in there, Teddy. He had like the split personality guy. He had like 5 different personalities.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time. That's one I should probably watch again.
It was great. It was great. So yeah.
What's the weather like where you're at there? So Boise, Idaho. That's like
it's like Midwest. It's kind of on the way to the west. So I'm in central, or I'm in mountain time now. So I'm sort of under Alberta, past the Dakotas, Montana, and sort of down centrally into that area. No, you know what? It's actually I would say today was more like 10.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Wow,
all right. In Canadian. Whereas say last couple days where I've been in Minnesota have been like it's right under Winnipeg, so minus 30. I don't know. It was insane. I've been cold for 2 weeks. I started in Florida and then we went up the coast, and by the time we got to New York and Pennsylvania and all that stuff, it was freezing. So yeah, no good.
We're getting there. We're getting out of the grip of everything. COVID and everything. I see there's some Comic Cons that have happened, and
I know the Vancouver Expo just happened.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of footage of Comic Cons, which I'm excited for, and even some smaller ones. There was one in Oshawa I saw that David Wildstar put on there for his pop culture events. Yeah, smaller SchwaCon. So his usually come around to Kingston here as well. So we're looking forward to getting Machete Comics out there to some of these smaller Comic Cons and meeting some of the people, because I like the people.
Don't you mean?
I am one of the people.
Don't you mean Machete Comics?
Yeah, there it is right there, man. Look at that. And we're just waiting for that to show up. It's already at the printer. Checking it out.
That's from Machete Comics. There you go.
Yeah, that is as well.
There we go. Yeah, Machete Comics.
There's issue 2 and issue 3.
Machete Comics.
Yeah, there's issue 1. Oh, that's classic now.
Not to mention he did this logo for me from Machete Comics.
Yeah.
You know, there's all sorts of stuff here. So yeah. You know,
always working. Always free. Yeah,
Always
so
working.
I'm doing some art shows. Machete Comics has some new art shows this summer here in Kingston, Ontario.
In Kingston.
And yeah, in Kingston, it's a new thing they're doing called pop-up art shows. So I'm going to be a part of it. Machete Comics is going to be a part of it. It's a new deal. So I'm thinking it's going to be right downtown during the summertime here when we're all back to normal and everybody's out doing stuff. So look for that if you're visiting Kingston this summer. Is a Machete Comics art show. I'll have lots of cool stuff there for you guys. Maybe it'll be a kind of a permanent fixture that sits there for the summer. I won't sit there for the summer unless I have a lot of beer handy, but my artwork can sit there and you can check it out. Yeah. So issue 3 is we're just waiting for it to show up in the mail. And I have probably half a dozen subscribers who just are automatically on a list. And when the comic shows up, we build them and we send it off.
And they send it off. Yeah. A lot of people excited about that. I mean,
yeah, it's a thing, man. It's happening. I'm excited.
Issue 3.
Yeah, and I was supposed to go for dinner again tonight. I was supposed to go last night with my folks, because we go every weekend. Last night, my wife got sick, and then she's still sick today, but we're going to go today. Now my dad's sick. So
gracious, Gary.
But I think he's sick like I get sick. Like he just indulged in like too much food.
Oh,
that's how I get sick. Is I'll have like pizza and beer, and then for some reason have a glass of orange juice, and I'm like, and it's just not good, right?
As long as I've known you, that's been your MO. You're like,
my.
I don't know what I did there. I had the orange juice. I had orange juice and cabbage last night.
My kryptonite is just the wrong thing added in my stomach at the wrong time, man, and a little bit of anxiety on top of that. And I don't feel good. But anyway, so my dad, hopefully he's feeling better. We're going to go up Tiger Williams. We were going to go for dinner and it didn't happen, but that's okay. I ordered some pizza from Papa John's and I ate it and it was good. I had pizza as a kid.
I haven't had pizza in a long time.
I
had some pizza in New York. It was great.
Oh, yeah. You must get some good pizza and tacos too, right?
Oh, okay. Well, tacos for sure. There was tacos the other night at the show or something like that. I can't remember, but there was one of the places had tacos. It was really good. And yeah, I try to find them wherever I can because tacos, you know what I mean? Tacos, every place has them. It's really good. So
whenever I go out for dinner, I usually ask for the largest draft beer they have of a Coors Light or a Bud Light and tacos.
So today is February 28th. A couple days ago, last Monday, we started a little thing for Jimmy, our pal Jimmy from the Jedi Jimmy podcast, and had a little fundraiser. I obviously for Pink Shirt Day, which was
there it is.
Jimmy had a great panel, really great panel that day. A really important chat with a bunch of school kids talking and asking questions about bullying and all the rest of it. And everyone showed up, which was really great. And so I remember we talked to Jimmy. We said, "Hey, Jimmy, is there something that we can do to like tag something onto this thing and, have a charity support component to it?" And he had said the kids help phone. So Facebook, our friends at Facebook, they let you pick a charity or some kind of thing on your birthday, which mine was the other day. So I picked the Children's Help Phone, and today is the last day that you can donate. So if you are listening or watching, go to my Facebook page and there's going to be a link there that you can click on, and you can donate to Jimmy's cause, which was to support Pink Shirt Day, but also to help the Children's Help Phone. So we started out with $1,000, and here we are. So we're at $2,025 raised of the $1,000, which is awesome. So we got about 7 hours left. Thank you to everybody all over the place that has helped donate to this, and you're all fantastic for helping the cause. And we were going to try to get Jimmy on today, but he's practicing his lightsaber skills, so he couldn't be here today. But Jimmy, we got a couple hours left. What time is it now? I guess it's done on the east, so I'd say we got about 4 or 5 hours left. I mean, $2,000, amazing, awesome, cool.
Yeah, holy cow!
But if we can get to $2,500 by the end of the show, that'd be amazing. Decent, huh?
Yeah.
So, really anyways, anyone that's feeling, let me know. Come to my Facebook page, Brenton Wayne Donnelly. Click on it. Let you put in like $5, $10, whatever. But anyways, we're at $2,025 for Jimmy, and that's awesome. So thanks everybody for that. So we'll get that gets donated whenever it gets donated. And big ups to Jimmy for doing all that. So, dude.
Jimmy.
All right, we got a lot of things to cover today. You are in a Leaf thing. I'm in a Leaf thing.
I know. I got a wrestling shirt on.
I got a wrestling shirt. I saw. Well, that's close.
GCW wrestling.
There's a Maple Leaf in the background. We are going to talk today about the release of this, which is coming out in a couple of days. The new Batman movie, which you're already in that mode. You're already like, I'm not sure I'm going to like it. So we're going to see how this is. We're going to see how this goes.
About this movie. Yeah, really concerned.
And so what we're going to do is, but a fellow Dean Blundell Network partner in crime here, we're going to bring in Rob Furnish, who has a great podcast on the network called Talkin Buds. And all they do is talk buds, talk Leafs, talk everything. And we've got a segment on here that we do occasionally called Nerds on Ice, because, we still like hockey too. But without further ado, Rob Furnish, welcome to the show, buddy. How you doing, man?
Look at that background stuff. I love it.
How's it going, guys? Thank you for having me. I have to say, though, I was listening to you talk just there. Before we talk any Leafs, I have to know why you're concerned about the Batman.
Whoo! Okay. Brent, should we get into this now? Because I got, I got
okay. Well, there's a whole thing. So first and foremost, let's just remind everybody that there's a new Batman coming. It's the Rob Pattinson and the Vampire Boy has stepped into the mold here. There's some really cool artwork from the show.
Yeah, and my concern is not with him at all. I thought he looked super.
Yeah, and all the villains look great and all the rest of it. But
the Riddler, anyways, that's not the Riddler, man. I don't know. That's different. That's pretty.
Yeah, it's Zodiac Killer.
So anyway,
do you want me to get into it now, Brent, or because I got?
Well, let's go with I was gonna say we were gonna be are we excited about it? But we'll just start with you, Chris, and you can go. Cool. Rob, welcome to the show, buddy.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. No, I love getting into this stuff. As I say, nothing's happened yet, so I'm not really it's not like the Star Wars stuff where I'm wanting vindication on anything. It's just, okay. So the trailers I've seen, there's a lot of Batman, there's a lot of Catwoman. Is this another Superman versus Batman movie? But they're just not putting it in the title between Batman and Catwoman. I don't get it. I don't get that at all. I want a Batman movie. So you got two villains. Come on. Two villains. Wow. Is the story that lacking that we need to? You're scaring me. This is what I'm saying. I'm being scared. I'm asking, is the story that vapid, that lucid? Is the story that crappy that you need all these characters in here? Now, there's not going to be any time to flesh out this new Commissioner Gordon or anything about the police or anything like that. I do not see how they're going to do this properly. I think we're seeing way too much of Catwoman. Is this a Batwoman? I'm fine if it's a Batman Catwoman movie, but that's not what we're advertising here. I think Patterson looks amazing as Batman. Holy crap. I would love to see him in some of the older scenarios. This new Riddler is a lot like the Joker. I think you could just supplement in the Joker instead of the Riddler, and you would think it was the same villain. The cinematography looks good. A lot of the action looks great. I could see the Penguin's going to be involving the mob, and you're going to get the Riddler with the craziness, and then Catwoman's going to be put in there as well. There's my concern, friends. There's my concerns all right there.
So the review embargo, I'm stoked out of my mind for this movie. The review embargo lifted today. It's getting universal praise. I think part of your concern about fleshing it out, it is bordering on 3 hours. This movie, so that should be enough time to sort of give us enough of a deep dive into these characters. I have the utmost faith in Matt Reeves. I was someone who wasn't the most familiar with his work until I watched his 2 Planet of the Apes movies, and those are films that I didn't have any sort of emotional connection to that story or that world, and his 2 Apes movies are far better than they had any business being. So I love him as a choice to direct this film. And I just think I'm so excited. The reviews thus far are universally over the top. It's got 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. The only ones that are remotely negative are people who I think were looking for a bit of a lighter tone. And this, obviously, from the trailers and the marketing, is very, very dark. So if you're into a dark sort of comic accurate take on the Batman, I think you're going to be stoked watching this. I'm stoked out of my mind. I'm going Thursday night, and then I bought additional tickets for Saturday. So I'm ready to go.
It's interesting because there's been a lot of hype about this thing about it, because there was the Keaton Batman. We've talked about all the different eras of the Batmans before, and Rob, hey, welcome, fellow DC lover. So on this thing, because I'm always the only one on here.
I like
love
DC.
Marvel.
I don't
you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying.
I love Marvel too. But
usually most people don't know a lot about DC. But
yeah,
we've discussed Brent at the same time. Like, it's hard to find a comic book movie, where there's been like 4 main characters, other than an Avengers or something, that has worked. Spider-Man 3 being a perfect example of that. And then you look at movies where it's Batman and the Joker in the second Batman there, and it was just flawless, right? So this is where Brent and I have had discussions about this, right, buddy? We're like, how can that work? If it works, I would love to see it. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet. And can you guys think of a movie with?
I like Batman Returns with Keaton and actually I like Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman. And I thought she did great with I know people are kind of on the fence about Danny DeVito. Danny DeVito as the Penguin. Okay. But I actually, if you look back on that sort of like where movies were at that time, right? And we were really into that era of that early 90s, like where everything was over the top and big. But aesthetically, Michelle Pfeiffer was great as Catwoman. And you really had 3 villains there, because you had her boss and then you had the Penguin. The Penguin kind of story, I thought they did it both. I thought in that particular movie, they did it really well, because they were able to tell 2 backstories completely within one movie. And then you got Michael Keaton. And after that, it got into Jim Carrey. It got into, Tommy Lee Jones, and then Schwarzenegger. It just turned into anarchy. But I thought that first Batman Returns was good. To Chris's point, though, about the third Batman movie with Christian Bale, then you get into Bane and you're getting into Catwoman, kind of, and then
Catwoman just jumps on this piece of future from Batman on this motorbike, and she just drives off on it. Yeah. She knows how to start it. She knows how everything works. It's like,
the third Chris Nolan film was a bit. I think everyone is kind of of the opinion they did stretch it a lot with that one. Another thing that I'm reading today in a lot of these reviews is that Pattinson is in the suit. This is a 3-hour film, and Pattinson is in the suit for like 80% of it. And it's being called a Batman movie, which is something I don't think we've seen. A lot of the previous Batman movies have been centered around the villains. And like even the Nolan films, while I love those films, those are like stories that sort of involve the Batman characters. I wouldn't necessarily, maybe with the exception of the first one, I wouldn't necessarily call them Batman movies. Whereas like this is like a Batman story. It's about him. He's the main character, and all these other characters are sort of like co-stars or whatever you want to say, like supporting characters. So to me, that's what has me the most excited. And I do think that we haven't seen a true detective noir story. We haven't seen Batman be the world's greatest detective. We haven't seen him investigate a crime scene. We haven't seen that in live action. And that's something that this film has promised. And it looks like we're getting that. And I'm really, really stoked for this movie. You guys got me talking about my 2 favorite topics, the Leafs and Batman.
You know, it's funny because Chris, we talked about this at the beginning of when that first trailer came out, which was, hey, we're getting Batman the detective finally.
Yeah, and I was confused by that first. Again, we talked about the very first trailer. I was like, excuse me, I was like, I really don't know how. I can't really give you a opinion on it. I can't get a feel for what's going on, which is wild. So if they're going for that psyche kind of detective kind of feeling for the whole thing, it's working for me, who's like a lifelong reader of Batman and Spider-Man and everything, because I'm like, wow, what is going on here? I don't get this. I really don't. Like, is this a Batman movie? Is this like a Catwoman movie? Is this like is the Riddler? What Riddler?
Well, clearly, I always feel like right now everything that DC Comics is doing is retrofitting their whole platform because of what Marvel's been able to do and what Star Wars is able to do. I really think that you're going to see this be. Well, there's two sides of this. You're going to see this as sort of like potentially connecting the dots on all the things that we've been asking them to do for a long time. Chris, you were talking before about the Joker and the Joaquin Phoenix one, and I loved it. But he said if they avoid the canon and they don't do something with this and it's just on its own and he's not going to get involved. But I wonder if they're going to find a way to finally fix a lot of this stuff. And you've got Catwoman. She's going to probably roll off into a series. You've got, I just maybe think DC's really going to try to retrofit their whole platform.
They're developing a Penguin show for HBO Max with Colin Farrell. So, and they're also developing a GCPD show for HBO Max with Jeffrey Wright and this version of the GCPD. So it feels like Reeves is really building a Bat universe here.
Well, and they do it so well. The thing is to that too, Rob, is, and I've been a massive proponent of Superman and Lois. I thought it was a great series, and you know, that Arrowverse has brought that sort of like verse on CW has sort of crossed those worlds over a little bit. Something that they just haven't been able to get right in the movies at all. Yeah. And I watched Justice League on the plane today. Finally, on the way finally was able to watch Justice League today, and it was like the same thing. They killed off all the old characters, and they're bringing, now they've got a Peacemaker series. They've got, so DC, I think, is retrofitting the whole thing, and maybe this is the start. I'm not sure.
Could be, yeah. Well, a good example of a bad example of DC is how they got the show Titans, the live action one.
Yeah.
Man, they've really built a separate universe for it, but it's a really cool universe. Because I don't think what's going on in there would gel with a lot of the CW shows or with any of the movies. I think it's kind of its own standalone universe, is it not, Robert? Do you know about that one?
I believe it is its own standalone universe. Yes.
And it's so dark. There's moments in that TV show where me and my wife watch, and we're just like, and we're looking at each other like, what? so many what the fuck moments in Titans that I really, really enjoyed, the darkness of it and everything. And there was they includes a lot of Batman stuff in there, of course, right? Because the last season was Jason Todd turning into the Red Hood, and that had the whole Joker going down on him with the crowbar, man. From behind.
Which is my, we talk about that. That's such a favorite.
But Titans did it mint. Holy cow, they did it good. And then Dick Grayson had this Scarecrow nightmare about it, and he was the Joker beating down the new Robin, and the animosity between you. You're actually wondering for a minute, is this how it happened? Was it Dick Grayson? You're in the Scarecrow's. Oh, dude, I thought Titans was really, really well done.
It hit on the darkness, and anything that's death in the family, I'm all for too.
Oh yeah,
100%.
High 5 or high 10 on that, brother. Yeah, we all love that. That storyline was great. It was so. It felt so real.
Has DC gone? I find that Marvel has been relatively lighter fare, and DC has never really taken that approach outside of those early Superman movies way back in the day. But and even what is it? They had Man of Steel, and then before that they had Superman, right? Returns or something. With,
Superman Returns, yes.
What's his name? And that was that was kind of serious, but not really. I feel like they've really gotten they've just kept it dark. And do we feel like that's DC's MO, is just dark?
I think so. Dark. Like you should zig it while Marvel zags. I think part of the trouble they got themselves in with the Justice League and is they kind of rushed it because they were trying to sort of replicate what Disney and Marvel were able to do with the Avengers, and you just can't replicate that. So go your own way, do your own thing. And it starts with whether you like Joker or not. Like I have mixed emotions on that film, but it's an R-rated film. Mm-hmm. And this film and everything we're seeing about the Batman it's a PG-13 rating, but I read several times today that it walks that PG-13 line, and it is dark and it is violent. So I think why not? But if you look at some of their other solo movies, like Aquaman and Wonder Woman, those are lighter. Those aren't necessarily super dark. So maybe if you're gonna pick and choose your characters, and I think with the Batman IP, it works to go dark. There's a lot of people that want that, so go down that road with that character, and it doesn't have to be a one size fits all. Maybe like Marvel is. Just let Marvel be Marvel, and you do your thing, and you don't have to be them. You don't have to copy them.
Right. So what did you think of the Schneider cut of the Justice League movie there?
I thought it was significantly better than the abomination that was released in theaters.
It made a lot more sense, didn't it? I watched it, and at the end of it, I felt a lot more satisfied and a lot more like, okay.
Yeah,
pause for 1 second. Did I say Justice League or Suicide Squad earlier?
Oh, Suicide Squad. Oh, no, you said Justice League, but I knew you were talking about
I meant Suicide Squad. Right. Sorry,
yes.
Let me correct myself.
Yes.
Go ahead. Anyway,
it was much better. The characters were more fleshed out. It made more sense. We got they sort of tried to rectify some of the mistakes they'd made previously. Like I thought the characterization of Affleck as Batman was much better. He felt more like Batman as opposed to this like angry, like kind of stupid guy that he was in Batman v Superman. Superman, the one criticism that Henry Cavill's Superman got through all those 3 films is that he was never really like the heroic symbol of hope Superman. They went with this like realistic, he's an outsider type thing. And I think when he comes back and he flies up and he's got his black suit on and he's in front of the sun, it's like you're watching it and you're like, finally, this is what we've been waiting for. I thought Darkseid was cool as hell. It's definitely, it's kind of a shame that it's just going to stop and we're not going to see where that story goes. But I mean, that's
what I wanted to discuss next. Yeah.
That's just a byproduct of what they did.
Right. So those bits at the end, what I wanted to discuss. So now how old is Batman supposed to be at the end there?
Oh, he's got to be in his 50s. At least.
Okay. Yeah. So check this out, buddy. This is my mind. So the Joker he's talking to at the end there is not the same age as him. He's much younger. I'm thinking that's Jason Todd, and they could have went like, and because the Batman at the end he's like making a deal with the Joker, and it almost seems like he has like a remorse caring for the Joker. And I'm looking at this Joker, and I'm like, that guy is so young, and he's such a hip Joker. It's like, that's effing Jason Todd. And what a twist that would have brought on to the next deal. Like, what? I don't know. That's just me. What do you think of that?
There was that rumor floating around.
Oh, was that okay?
Rumor,
right?
That rumor was floating around that it could have been Jason Todd.
Okay,
Jared Leto's Joker could have been Jason Todd.
I thought that was mine, buddy.
And that's just too bad. That's just too bad because then I just wouldn't watch the movie.
Yeah,
it was Jared Leto.
Joker too, right? Like, because it just that Joker didn't make sense, and then he was so young, and oh wait, that's not the Joker. That's friggin' Jason Todd. So
the
storyline.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's just going to kind of go up in smoke and like you won't see where it goes. But like they kind of did that to themselves. Like people didn't like Batman v Superman. That movie didn't do well critically, and so they panicked and they like redid that entire film, which is the version that we saw in theaters with Henry Cavill with his mustache CGI'd out, so his lip is like all he's talking. And it's like they kind of did it themselves, and now they're trying to right the ship and go in all these new directions. And I know the plan was initially to have Affleck, like this Batman movie, this concept of this started as a movie that Ben Affleck was supposed to star in and direct himself, and he was the one who was like, I'm done. Like this has just been kind of a pain in the ass, so I'm out of here. And then it was handed to Matt Reeves, and here we are. And now all these other Justice League characters have sort of been spun off into their own stories. And I don't know. We also have Flashpoint coming out, the Flash movie coming out in November, which sees the return of Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. You're getting a couple of versions of Batman and throughout the next little bit.
There's no question who Warner Brothers. There's no question who Warner Brothers cash cow is, man. They're just putting him in everything.
Well, we talked about that too. Chris and I've talked about it before. Batman, you can go off of forever because he's a human.
Yes.
So he's vulnerable regardless. And Superman, just doesn't have the great villains that.
Well, yeah, it's tough to have. Well, Superman,
and I love Superman.
Superman can't fight a level 1-2 villain. His has to be like a planet-threatening device, right? So that's hard for a writer to tackle for sure, and have it stay on Earth. Like what's gonna confront Superman?
That's why I love Superman and Lois so much.
Yeah,
because they really change. They kind of change it, right? Rob, I don't know how much you've watched it, but they sort of changed that whole thing. And there's bizarre.
Giving him the family gives him a sense of humanity.
Yeah, and but there's also like that. There's the other world. There's another dimension where everything's completely opposite. So they're able to cross over into the humanization of him. Anyways, we're off topic from Batman, but I just think that what they've done with Superman and Lois and the Flash universe and all that stuff, it's been amazing to sort of why TV gets it right, and they just haven't been able to get it right in the films. And to Chris's point about Titans and stuff, it's just like, come on.
Titans was, I really like Titans. So Rob, what best Batman product ever? Like movie? Is it a movie? Is it a TV show? Is it a comic book? Is it a novel? Best Batman, whatever. You fill in the blanks.
So I've got a couple here. So for film, it's obviously up until this weekend, and I'm not going to include this film coming out because we haven't seen it. But in terms of movies, I'm going to go with obviously the Nolan Batman movies, specifically the first one, Batman Begins. That is the only one of his 3 films that I think is a true Batman movie, whereas the other ones are stories that encompass the Batman characters, but they're not necessarily Batman films. True. I am a diehard of Batman the Animated Series. If you told me that I was going to rank my all-time favorite Batman films, Mask of the Phantasm would be right at or near the top of the list. Yeah. And I have played the hell out of the Arkham games. I love the Arkham games. All 4 of them. Doesn't matter. You put any one of them in there. I'll sit and play the whole thing all the way through. Those games are fantastic.
They are. I agree, buddy. I agree. Yep.
One of the only games that they've all gotten right. Really, because it just plays so well. It's just such a great game. Star Wars is good. Obviously, we know that, but man, those Arkham games are deadly.
They're fantastic.
Oh, yeah, they are. They're awesome.
Chris, what's your favorite Batman property then?
It's a comic run trade paperback, Hush, by Jim Lee, and it's just and they did a cartoon movie on it. And it was horrible. Oh my gosh, the comic book is it's as a book, just reading it. It's a detective story, and I think at least 3-4 times, man, I thought I had the villain, the killer picked out, and this story twisted on me. And then at the very, very end, it made me question whether I was right or wrong. It was just brilliant. And the artwork, Jim Lee, is just, it was brilliant.
I have seen a couple of places that the new film is heavily influenced by Year One. Oh, nice. And Hush.
Oh, beautiful, man. Beautiful. Yeah, Jim Lee did a real good job on him. Yeah, that series, man, was so adult. It was so brilliant. That's what I like about Batman, the detective side of it. Yeah. And I'm loving to see this flesh out the way that Rob's talking about it, because now you got me more excited, my friend. And I like it. See, that's why I like doing this show too, because as I mentioned too, because sometimes I come in here with I'm thinking, I get all down on it. I'm not really down on it, but I get concerned. And then I start talking to other fans about it, and I'm like, that could turn this way. Way to go. If you worry about it too much as a person like myself, who's into it so much,
it's funny, Chris. That's kind of funny about that is that. So we had Dean and Locke on here before, Rob, and they weren't into Wanda, and we had to bring them kicking and screaming into Wanda. Yeah. And by the end of it, Locke and Dean were like, man, it was great. And I was out, but now I'm in, and it was amazing. And Chris just kept saying to stick around. 4, 5, and 6 will be better than 1, 2, and 3. And then 7, 8, 9 are going to bring it home. And then you're going to look back and realize it was incredible. And I often don't, I never really see Chris get too down on something coming in. Usually he's like, I can't, it might be in post. So he's like, I can't wait to see Eternals. And then he's like, or he goes, I can't wait to see this. And it's like, this is
you
one
see
of the
those
first
people that see a trailer online and act like they know the whole movie and they're tearing it apart. It's like, hey, stop doing that to my movie coming. I want,
This is the first one. This is the first one where I've seen Chris go, oh man.
No, I'm concerned, but I'm stressing that I'm not hating it. I'm not dissing it. I'm concerned because I want it to be good. It's not like, I would never go out a trailer. Wow, screw this. The trailer sucks. I'm never seeing it. Like I wouldn't do that. That's.
Question for you both then, because we named this the Kids on the Escalator podcast. Obviously, Rob, you probably know where that's from. But I hold Kevin pretty high as far as like his review of things. I would Chris to me is with him, and Rob, you're part of the club now. So it's one of those things where my go-to knowledge as far as like the casual viewer, I'm in on some stuff, but I'm not as deep as probably both of you, but I can get deep on some stuff. But the casual listener or viewer, I'll watch a Kevin Smith. Like when I watch the Kevin Smith review after, say, he did the Star Wars, it's kind of interesting. I'll watch him and his reactions, and his reviews are like 2 hours long because he'll do one of those scene by scene breakdowns. I did this and this, and I couldn't believe this happened, and I couldn't believe this, and I just think they're amazing. But that'll get me stoked at post watching it to go, I missed that or I missed this. How it's funny. because I really hold him in a high regard, and he loved those Star Wars movies. I'm kind of thinking that maybe he just didn't want to diss his friends because he's really good friends with those guys.
Yeah.
But especially coming out of The Force Awakens, listening to Kevin review The Force Awakens, he was crying. He's like, oh, then there's Chewie and then Han. Oh my God. And he was crying. And I'm like, okay, well, this is, I mean, Kevin just nailed it. I would default to Kevin on the Batman too. I would go, all right, what's Kevin saying about the Batman? If Kevin goes, it's shit, then there's a really good chance that it's going to be shit. Who do you guys go to for your kind of like outside of what you know internally?
That's funny. Nobody.
Who do you go to that you would be going?
Go right to Rob. I don't go to anybody, man. And this is a point that I made with, and you know what, we have had discussions on this because I've been a music composer, paid to do that. I played in a band, and I'm writing my own comic book. And I've come to the conclusion in life that you make your own opinion and you don't ask anybody else about it.
Sorry, I'm saying whose opinion would you agree with? I'm saying, would you watch Kevin's after that and go, oh yeah, he nailed that, but he missed this? Like, do you watch anybody for that post?
Oh no, I don't actually. It's fun. No. I get into, my brain is so crazy when it comes to this stuff, Brent. I can't fit anybody else's opinion in.
That's right. Rob, what do you think, bud?
I would honestly say Kevin Smith for myself as well, just because I love his format and I think he does a great job of recapping things and adding the humor element. There's another podcast that I listen to of these guys who are based in LA called The Big Thing that I really like, and they kind of do the same sort of thing where they review movies and films and stuff, and sort of the same mindset as me. But Kevin Smith is definitely like, the guy's got a podcast called Fat Man on Batman. So I'm definitely
that's an amazing one. Yeah.
I'm definitely going to be looking for his review of this movie.
Sure. And that would be post of it, obviously. And we have access to one of the great minds. I mean, Chris is a published comic book artist. He so I have access.
I'm always trying not to comment.
I have access to his brain at all all and this is Rob. I don't know if you've seen some of his stuff, but this is some of Chris's stuff here. He's got this great comic out now called Skeletron coming out. But
nice.
It's really
I'm always trying not to rip people off when I come on the show, so I try and stay away from that because I don't want to come on here and really like exactly quote somebody else's opinion on another video because I have my own opinion.
Sure,
as you can tell, Rob. But you know what I mean. But so I try not to watch anybody else, Brent, just for that fact. You know what I mean? Yeah,
sure. Yeah, I'm always interested in I was saying we're gonna do a Sopranos dive pretty soon with Ryan Lindley from the network, and I've been a massive fan of the Talking Sopranos podcast because it's Chris, it's Maltasanti and Bobby Bacala. Basically, it's breaking down every single scene of Sopranos, scene by scene, like the old style DVD. In this scene we use this, in this scene, we actually got the music from this band who opened for Springsteen. Like, you just get that super deep dive, and I love it. And I feel like Kevin's kind of the guy that does that, and Chris does it too. When we do our deep dives, Chris does it, and it's really great. So I'm very interested to see what those guys and what that team sort of around the place think of where it's going to go, because right now it's like 5 stars and epic and blah blah blah, but it's like, how does it tie into the canon, as Chris likes to call it all the time? How does
maybe, and Rob say, maybe we're starting a whole new line of canon here, which would be pretty cool.
I think we are. I've seen some of the junket stuff where they're being asked about potential Justice League tie-ins and stuff, and Matt Reeves has been pretty emphatic that won't be happening. And I think part of the condition of him coming in was, I need to make my movie. And if I'm not going to be if I have to come in and be beholden to all these films that came before this, then I'm not going to do it. So, and I mean, it is like, you're going with Robert Pattinson, who in this story is in year 2 of being Batman. That's quite a left turn from Ben Affleck being essentially a live action version of The Dark Knight Returns. Yeah. So it's totally different.
Well, there we go. So our excitement level through the roof for me, anyways. I'm super stoked. I mean, I love that cover just on itself. It's great.
Well, yeah. Plus, it's a comic art style, right? You got me there. And look at this. That's just it's haunting. It's good. But yeah, it does. They're very. When I'm looking at these pictures too, I'm looking at the psyche of Batman. Like, it's just not a lot of detail, a lot of silhouette. Here, that's just your classic. That's if the artwork's saying anything, man, that is some crisp, hard edge artwork. And that's the psyche of Batman. Look at him.
And again, casting. Who'd have thought Robert Pattinson? But it seems to be pulling it off.
Since, and it's funny, ever since the Joker, what's his name back
Joaquin
there?
Phoenix.
Joaquin Phoenix.
No, not Joaquin Phoenix. Before
Heath Ledger.
Heath Ledger, man. I didn't think that was going to go over well. I remember that movie that I really loved, 10 Things I Hate About You, and all I could think of him was doing that dance.
Yeah,
trying to turn
This, I don't know how much you guys have read, but the director Matt Reeves has said that Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne is influenced by Kurt Cobain, and he was listening to Nirvana while he was writing the screenplay. So this is a Bruce Wayne who, like, speaking of left turns, like this particular depiction of Bruce Wayne, because he's so early on in his days of being Batman, he doesn't necessarily care about the Bruce Wayne side of it. He's like, there's a scene in the trailer where Alfred is like imploring him that like bad things are going to happen if you keep doing this. And he says, I don't care what happens to me. So he's like so immersed in his mission of being Batman that he hasn't yet realized the value of being the playboy Bruce Wayne yet. So that is what I'm super excited for, because we've never really seen that, right?
Yeah, he's always got that facade, right? Like he'll show up with like 3 girls and they'll fall into the, whatever, and he'll buy the place instead of having to get in trouble. Yeah. And then there was the early Batwing. I do remember the early Batman, Bruce Wayne, where he was just like, yeah, you know what? And then it dawned on, okay, wait, I got to take care of both ends here, or else I'm going to lose Bruce Wayne Enterprises, which is going to lose my funding for the Batman. So yeah, this is cool. I'm liking it the more you talk, my friend.
Good. Awesome.
That's how we bring the big guns in here.
Got it.
We bring them all in. And it's funny because, people would look at it and they go, oh, he's got a podcast called Talkin Buds, so he must be a jock and that's all he's going to talk about. And because you know how these sports podcasts go sometimes. It can be a little bit like, a little bit of whatever. Yes. Sometimes it's like, Chris and I've got a great saying. It's called non-guitar. So sometimes some of these sports podcasts are like, like did one for the team and everything's great. The guys are awesome. And, whatever. And they often don't have a lot of personality when it comes to other things. They don't let other things in. So I'm glad that you're a comic book fan and welcome to the show.
Some people only like sports and that's it. And that's
it. It's rare that you get that crossover. It's
and some people only like comic books. You know what I mean? Like I love hockey. I grew my dad, man. He's watching right now. He took me to the Toronto Maple Leaf games. Him and some other gentlemen from the hockey team I played on, they all split on season tickets. Maple Leaf Gardens, man. We had the same seats right on the aisle. And I can remember coming home when I was going to college in New Jersey at the Joe Kubert School. I came home to see the Leafs in their heyday there with Sundin and everybody play the Sharks in one of their playoff games in that huge run they did. And it was just amazing. Like my hockey memories are really, really happy and excellent. And I have a pond out back that I got all shoveled off, man. I've been out there skating on it.
That's funny.
Awesome.
I heard the crunchy crunch.
I haven't skated in so long. And Brent's like, dude, I don't know, man. It's tough to skate again. I fell twice getting to the ice. I didn't fall at all those 3 hours I was out there, man. I was just like, yeah. I come in with the biggest smile on my face, like, oh my gosh. Yeah, dude, I had so much fun. I love hockey. Always have. Been a great bonding thing with me and my dad as well. I can't say good enough things about playing hockey when I was younger. You get older and I just stopped because I started hanging around the heavy metal crowd and stuff and went from playing 3 games a week to nothing really, basically. My dad was like, you're not going to play house league hockey, man. No.
Yeah.
But no, man, that's my hockey history, man. I love the Leafs. Grew up watching them.
Yeah.
We're going to switch gears.
Kind of the same for me, really. Been like the Leafs and watching the Maple Leafs have been a part of my life since I was a little kid. And like, I played in my youth too, competitively and like stopped as I got older, but it's just like the Maple Leafs and Leafs hockey is just, it'll always be with me. Always. Yeah.
It's and I live in Vancouver now, so that's been tough as a Leaf fan to move out there. And when I moved out there, it was funny because the TV deal is still so new that when I moved out to Vancouver, I still couldn't watch Leaf games out there. And you got them on Hockey Night in Canada, which is why Vancouver and the West hates Toronto so much, because Hockey Night in Canada was always Toronto. That's how you would get them. But it wasn't until they got this new deal that I could actually watch Leaf games, because the TSN out there, it was like blacked out. You couldn't watch, unless they'd show like an Islanders Florida game while Toronto was playing, in Toronto, and I couldn't watch it in Vancouver. So it was really tough. I actually, I'm like, well, I moved out there in like 2005. That's when the Canucks got rid of everybody. They got rid of all the people that everyone, Bertuzzi and Nazzle, they were all gone. So there was this new Canucks team So I was kind of like part of a new thing, and it was exciting to be a part of it. It kind of filled the void when Leaf games were gone, and now they're back. So that's been exciting to be a part of that. And I went to my first Leaf game out there. My first Leaf game I ever went to was in Vancouver, actually, against the Canucks. And the Toronto Maple Leaf fans.
Wait, no, I took you to a game before you moved to Vancouver?
No, I never went to a game.
Yeah, I took you to see them play Chicago. It was the very last game of Maple Leaf Gardens. Yes, I did.
The Gardens?
He doesn't even remember, Rob. I should have took you, man.
Hold on.
Dude, it was the very last game in Maple Leaf Gardens for the Toronto Maple Leafs against the Chicago Blackhawks. It was you.
It was not me.
I didn't go. You. We got to the game, and we were outside, and people are selling them because we didn't realize it was the last game of Maple Leaf Gardens. And me and you were like, holy shit, we could actually sell these and make a mint, but we went and saw the game instead. Dude, no, man. And I remember you were so unimpressed. You were like, well, I thought it'd be a little more exciting. And this is back when my dad, it was the end of the season tickets. So, I don't remember.
Honestly, I don't. It's funny because
I should have took you, Rob. Damn.
I don't remember because I never went to the Air Canada Center.
No, dude, it was you. Like I'm remembering vividly so many little things about that now. The more I bring it up too, because I remember the moment we thought about selling the tickets.
That's funny. Because I got to Vancouver and I was like,
story out of the water on you, didn't I, buddy? There you go.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, whatever. So, anyways, the first
game I went to was with Chris, and I was unimpressed. We almost sold the tickets.
I guess. Fuck.
That's Chicago Blackhawks.
I don't. Some of the things you remember that I don't.
I remember.
Yeah, you see, he's pretty convinced. I'm. Yeah.
No, dude, I am that 110%. 110%. I bet you my dad's on the other side going, oh, yeah, I remember that, Chris. I remember those were the last tickets. I guarantee.
Yeah, good.
110%.
Well, thanks for taking me.
Because it wouldn't have been, I wouldn't have been Dent. And you were the only two guys I was hanging out with, man.
Yeah,
No, it was you. Like 110%.
I feel like I would remember Maple Leaf Gardens.
Anyway, buddy, 110%. So here's our question, Rob, and I put this out on.
Hold on, we got to do the thing. Hold on.
What? Oh, our graphic. Boom, Nerds on Ice.
There we go.
Here's our question that we put out to our listeners, general public today. Okay, we're looking at the Leafs today. Okay.
Yes.
We want to help the Leafs. We want to help them into the playoffs. You can take any player from any era in the past, Leaf player, sorry. You can take any Toronto Maple Leaf player from the past, any era at the height of their career, and insert them into the Leafs right now. All right. So now most people are suggesting, I know, right? So I can even list these first if you want to think about it. So my two, I think you need somebody big back there on defense that can kind of help anchor and stay back, but yet score. So I was going with Boreas Salming and or Cujo in net, because I'm talking to my dad about the Leafs back in the day when Cujo was there and Wendell and everybody. And I was like, who was their star defenseman? And my dad's like, Caberlet? And we couldn't remember.
Caberlet.
We couldn't remember his stud defense. And it was like, because it was either Belfour or Cujo in net. So I would take Cujo and or Salming. If I could get both of those guys on this team today, I'd be laughing. Okay, Rob, any ideas or?
No, I'm also going to go with Curtis Joseph. Honorable mention to Dougie Gilmour, my all-time favorite Maple Leaf. Yeah. And him or Mats, because I think that leadership element, especially with Tavares currently struggling, would be a welcome addition. But I'm going to go with Curtis Joseph as well.
Nice.
Oh, look at that. That's a fantastic.
Look at that hair.
Yeah.
Does the hair come along?
Yeah, that is outstanding. I'm going to go with Curtis Joseph. My brother and I on the pod for weeks, like everyone else, have been banging the table saying they need to go get a defenseman. They need to go get a defenseman. Their blue line is not good enough. However, if you look at the way Jack Campbell has struggled lately and how Peter Mrazek has been so throughout the year, I don't care if you have Victor Hedman back there. If you can't get a save, it doesn't matter. Right. And Curtis Joseph, to your point about not remembering who their defenseman was.
Yeah.
Curtis Joseph single-handedly swept the Ottawa Senators himself.
Yeah, brother. Yeah.
So he would be my pick. No questions asked.
Nice.
100%.
Yeah.
Were they the best team to not win it, to that Toronto team? Because remember, they lost to Carolina in that 1 year, that third round.
They lost to LA that time.
Lost to LA.
That famous Gretzky non-call.
The 90s.
Right?
They had the two teams in the early 90s, and then they had the early 2000s teams. And they lost to Carolina, and then they had a couple years where they lost in the second round to the Devils.
They were just buying the team up too, right? Like I remember when what was that one line? I think they had Renberg on there, McGillney, and Sundin on one line. Was it maybe somewhere that? Like, wow, man,
I know. And all the guys that came through in that era too, like Joe Nieuwendyk and Ronnie Francis.
And Gary Roberts.
Gary Roberts. Oh yeah. There's another one. There's another one too, man. There's another one.
93 in LA. I can't remember, my friend, if it was 93 in LA.
Yeah, it was.
Well, 93 was LA because the story is we would have won the cup because we would have played Montreal and we would have beat Montreal like woulda.
And then the following year they played the Canucks in the West Final in '94.
Yeah.
Which is
and the Canucks put them out.
Final.
So Brent, who would you throw in there?
Okay, well, we're gonna have two different conversations, right? We're talking about like our favorite Leaf players of all time.
Well, no, this is who would you put in the Leaf team right now to help them out from any era? You know, as we were saying, Curtis Joseph, both
what a different time. You know what? I'm going with Grant because Grant can take 100 shots a night and he'll let in 7, but the team will score 10 like they did the other night. So it's fine. Let's just keep going. But I'm a big Grant Fuhrer fan.
So we all agree they need a goalie. Okay, here's some suggestions from our listeners. So we've got Wendell Clark is our winner for the most vote. Wendell Clark. We got Andy Wilson, Dan Giroux, John Hughes, Tim Gibson. They all think some Wendell Clark action. So going back a little, we got some classic fans here. We got Mark Garnis, our head honcho at the Canadian Film Festival. He thinks Johnny Bauer. Again, he thinks we need a goalie. And then, of course, my dad, who is the classic Leaf fan. And he says he said a goalie too, man. He said Terry Sawchuk, and he said with maybe Bobby Bond in there if he got a second as well. So there's the classic ones there, right? And then we also have this other one from a gentleman named Cliff, who I think Brent, you got this one through yours.
Cliff Pelrine.
He suggested Dion Phaneuf needs to be inserted back into the lineup.
Well, Cliff's not.
That is an interesting take.
Cliff's not very bright at the good day. Like, is he going to bring Alicia Cuthbert with him?
That is a super interesting take. That is not a name I thought I would hear. I was never someone who was like a massive Dion hater, like a lot of other people were, but like that is not a name that I thought.
No, we weren't expecting it either.
Yeah. I'm just going to put this up here. Just 1 second. You guys keep talking about it. I was going to say the other thing too is you got to remember, like, obviously different era, dead puck versus like where we're in now. Speedy Gonzalez. I mean, because McGillney was amazing. He would be a great fit. Darcy Tucker. I think what they would need would be somebody like Gary Roberts that could score the big goal. Like, the playoffs and Stanley Cup finals are always about that third line guys. Look what Alex Burrows and look what Burrows and Kessler did in for the Canucks in 11. Like, it's those guys that win it, right?
Yeah. There's one other one. So actually, Jim McD here, Jim McDermott, he suggested Brad Marsh. He's a Boston player, wasn't he? Did he play in the Leafs, Brad Marsh?
I don't know.
I think Brad Marsh was in Toronto, and then
was he there for a while?
Then I think he went to Ottawa in the draft, right? When they put that team together. Like when Ottawa came into the league.
Marsh from Boston Bruins.
No, man, I think he was
70s.
I think he was there. Like, I think he was
okay.
Let me look. You guys talk amongst yourselves
Brad,
for a minute on that. But let me
Rob, do you think they can get a goalie for the playoffs here, man, or what?
I don't know. We actually talked about that. We did our latest episode yesterday. Cheap plug, and that's exactly what we talked about. Is with Campbell struggling, what do you do? Do you just do you wait and hope that he figures it out? Because you're not winning anything in the playoffs with subpar goaltending. That's why I think a lot of people have sort of zeroed in on this, and I think Jack Campbell is in a mental slump, and I think it is something that, like, if given time, he can probably work through. But given the position they're in, where it's like they can't really afford another first round exit, you're going to get one of the two Florida teams in round one. One of those two teams is the two-time defending Stanley Cup champions with Vasilevsky between the pipes, last year's Conn Smythe winner.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you talk about the Tampa Bay Lightning, for instance. It's like, you think of like Victor Hedman, you think Steven Stamkos, you think Braden Point, but it's like, no, it's Andre Vasilevsky. That's what it is, right? So I do not envy Kyle Dubas at all. I think he is in a really tough spot this year. I think they have some glaring weaknesses, and it's an interesting year because you've got their top line, which is like, is this the best line in Maple Leaf history. Like, it could be in the conversation. Austin Matthews is a Hart Trophy candidate. Like, Mitch Marner is playing out of his mind right now. So it's like, what do? Do you go and get the defenseman that they desperately need, especially if you're going to put Muzzin on LTIR and get that $5 million in cap space? Or do you say, listen, we're in a situation now as an organization where we can't afford another first round exit, so we don't necessarily have time to wait for Jack Campbell to figure a way out of this.
But there's also no guarantees that just bringing in Fleury or somebody like that is going to be the fix, because they could just all of a sudden shit the bed. Like, you just don't know. It's all
streaky. You got to do something though, and I agree. You got to do something though, because
goalies are so streaky, right? Goalies are like, they look what's happening with Demko in Vancouver. I mean, he's the Curtis Joseph. The guy's just slaying games left and right. Not to mention what he did in the playoffs a couple of years ago, and almost put them over Vegas. Toronto hasn't had that. To your point, Chris, about Curtis Joseph and stuff, Toronto hasn't had a goalie that's lights out in a long time.
If we jump in the DeLorean and go back to November, we're all talking like, is Jack Campbell a Vezina candidate?
Yeah, when it matters, and this is the thing, the consistency that Toronto, you could always know Curtis. Curtis was pretty damn consistent. Honestly, Curtis Joseph,
his mind, right? Like, those goalies, man. Like, that's the thing I love about goalies, is all of a sudden you're in the playoffs. You got this kid. Two goalies get hurt. You bring up this kid that nobody's heard of, and he goes all the way to like the playoff, the Stanley Cup Finals, right? I love the way these goalies will get it, and then, but sadly, he'll go in this next season, and you won't hear from him again. I love these goalies' mindsets on when they get in the zone there, and it's like, what the hell? You can't crack them. And I love it when they kind of go in on their little habits before they start, or what they're doing, or when they're looking, just going back and forth, watching the ice in the beginning. Because the goalies are a different beast, man. They're a totally different beast. They are. It's a totally psychological game with them. I believe anyway. I don't.
100%. All you got to do is watch Jack Campbell the other night in Detroit, and it's like, that's a guy who is in his head right now. Like, there is no two ways about it. Like, some of those goals that he let in, like, that's the only logical explanation for that is the guy's confidence is not in a great place right now, which is completely mental. So it's the hardest position in sports, in my opinion. It's so unique, that, and maybe being a pitcher in baseball. Like, it's so unique. It's just you. I just, you got to be a different breed if you're going to be an elite goaltender, man. It's
Carey Price. Look at Carey Price, man. That Carey Price. The best goalie in the world, and because his mind is telling him that he isn't, or whatever's going on in that poor gentleman's mind, he can't play. Like that.
100%.
Man, I feel really bad for him. Like we've talked about anxiety on this show, and I've had it from some stuff that's gone on, and man, that stuff just shuts you down. But goalies, holy, like, some of them, you almost think they have like the shields on, and they go to the rink. They don't talk to anybody. Don't talk to the goalie, man. Leave him alone. Man, he's doing something weird over there. No, just leave him alone.
Yeah, well, the coach's job also, though, is to coach the team and recognize. So there's two ways about it. Like, when Tortorella sat Luongo in that outdoor game, that was it. He was out the next day. Gone. See ya. Right.
And that just happened with another guy. He criticized the goalie. On one of the, and I think it was the Oilers, wasn't it? And they got rid of him.
Yes.
Yeah, and the goalie's the coach's job, right, is to get the most out of these players, but also do what's best for the team. And I like to go back to there's two things. You go back to 93, like the playoffs, right? Like, and everyone, all Leaf fans, we all like to go, they would have won the cup, blah blah blah. But it's like anything in sports. It should never come down to the last minute of anything. People are like, oh, the Super Bowl or the playoffs in football, and it's like the overtime rules. It should never come down to overtime. You got to get it done, or you don't. And if it does, which is amazing and exciting for us, but then it's not his fault. If he lets a goal in overtime, it's over. You have 9 other guys out there, or 12 in some cases, if you're rolling all 4 lines, that have an opportunity to go out there and score. It's not just the goalie. And when I look at that example in Vancouver and against Boston, Luongo's numbers were shit against Boston. They put him in game 3. Okay, sure, he loses. Put in Schneider in game 4. If he loses, you're not any further ahead. But if he wins, or whatever, you know what I mean? Like I'm just saying, like, I know Luongo ended up winning one, but it's like all of us, like, they won the Jennings that year together. It's like, What's wrong? The kid's from Boston. Fucking put him in there. I want to go shit the bed. That's team. And that's like what a coach's job should do. And that's where Vino failed. Vino should have been like, I'm sitting you. One of these two games, pick one. You're not playing. I'm putting in Schneider. We're going to see what we got. And I know it's the playoffs and it's a Stanley Cup, but I don't buy it. Sorry.
I think the Leafs are in that same situation now with like Peter Mrazek. Like Campbell is clearly in a bad way. Put Mrazek in there. Like put him in there. Like the guy,
totally.
He's had a rough start to the season with injuries and that, and he hasn't been able to get in a rhythm. And like he's had games where he hasn't looked that great, but then he has games like against Minnesota last week where he played pretty well. So like put him in there. Give Campbell some time to sort through this. You're paying this guy $3.5 million. Like,
yeah, right.
Yeah, like put him in there. Like let him go on a bit of a run here. Like that's like we're not. The intention at the beginning of the season was to have Mrazek and Campbell be a tandem unit. And obviously because Campbell sort of like hit the ground running, he sort of took over, and then Mrazek got hurt, and it's kind of became like Campbell's the starter, Mrazek's the backup. But like now we're in a situation where Campbell's really struggling. Put Peter Mrazek in there. Like I was really confused when Mrazek plays so well against Minnesota, and then I'm thinking, okay, let's bring him right back 2 nights later against the Wings. Let's go. And then he starts Campbell, and Campbell goes in there. And when's the last time you saw a goalie get pulled when the team's winning?
No shit. Right?
Yeah. When's the last time you saw that?
Nailed it. I had never seen that.
Yeah. So it's like, and again, I'm not trying to crap on Campbell here. I genuinely think that he's a good goalie, and he's just in a bad place mentally right now. But it's like, we got to win games here, boys. Like, so let's throw Mrazek in there and let him run with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if he's got a game under his belt. If he's got a win under his belt, man. Like,
yeah.
Winning goalie plays.
Yeah.
Back to your question about which player, Chris, from the past would add to Leafs now. Just
and Jim's out there.
Cliff Pelrine says Dion Phaneuf. Is he nuts? That's the question for the panel.
Is Dion Phaneuf nuts?
No, it's Cliff nuts.
Oh, Cliff says Dion Phaneuf.
It's Cliff nuts. Cliff Pelrine, are you nuts? Are you nuts? Are you out of your mind?
All right, I get you.
Dion Phaneuf. Only if he brings Stems Blondie there.
So Jim McDermott is watching. Hi, Jim. How's it going, buddy? And Jim says that Brad Marsh played on 6 teams.
Yeah, Brad's the six team guy. Yeah.
So he would have been on the Leafs on one of those teams. Okay, Jim, right on, buddy. Thanks for clearing that up, man.
I think Brad Marsh was a big player in NHL '94.
Oh yeah.
I think Brad Marsh was a big deal in NHL '94. Okay. If I recall. Nice. Handful of minutes here, fellas, and then we'll go. But
and there's a game on right now. Actually, they're playing Washington.
Yeah. Cliff's keeping us posted. It was 1-0. But
for
Leafs.
Okay.
Yep. So there we go. But the other thing that I wanted to just kind of address or ask was your favorite Leaf players of all time. Really, let's just go right to it as far as what are your personal Toronto Maple Leaf players of all time. Rob, I don't know how old you are, but I'm thinking that there's probably 3 different eras here ish. You know what I mean of players. So let's start with you, buddy. What's your favorite player?
All-time Maple Leaf, Dougie Gilmour. My childhood was watching Dougie Gilmour play hockey.
Kingston!
As a Toronto Maple Leaf. So all-time favorite is Dougie Gilmour. Special shout out to Mats, Cujo, Wendell. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. Like, I don't take a second of watching Austin Matthews play hockey for granted. Like, I think this guy is, for years, we had some rough years here in Leafs Nation with this hockey team, and having a hockey player that is right now in the conversation, in my personal opinion, at this moment in time, he is the best hockey player in the world. And I don't take that for granted at all. And I know he's only got a few years left on his deal, and they got to move heaven and earth. They got to get Bieber in here. I don't care. They got to move.
Why don't they move man? Can they move man baby out?
Well, do whatever you got to do money wise. I don't know. Like I said, if a condition of him re-signing is to give Bieber a job with the team, then hire Bieber. I don't care. You cannot let this guy. You cannot let this guy leave. So
no, I agree.
Yeah,
man. Yeah, I agree. He's the future.
Special talent. Yeah,
Chris, all-time Leaf.
Oh man, okay. So yeah, as we go back, so growing up, I liked Mike Palmetier, goalie, was amazing, and plus he broke his arm, and I sent him. Yeah, there he is, man. I loved it. Hockey mask. I used to draw pictures of it all the time, but I sent him. I drew a picture of him and sent him a get well card, and he wrote me back. He sent me a postcard picture of himself and a letter thanking me for the picture. Like, I was just a little kid, man. That blew my mind. It was like Mike Palmetier wrote this, like mind blowing. And then of course later you get into man, I like McGillney because he was he was more a finesse player like I was. I was a finesse player, and
who fell 3 times on the way to his own personal race.
Oh, dude, it was an incline. It was one of those things where it was the snow on top of ice, and I wish my neighbors saw me fall because I was right up in the air, boom, like I was laughing because it was fun. But dude, I fell.
Well, you had some finesse there with the fall, anyways.
I fell. Yeah, and I love Gilmore, man. I grew up watching Gilmore. Gilmore wasn't a huge player, but I liked the fact that Gilmore was a little rough, though. Man, he'd go in there and hit. That's one thing I don't like. Here's one thing that I don't like about Mitch Marner, and this really pisses me off about him. If there's ever a scrum on the ice, he's already at the bench. That is just, you don't see that in Doug Gilmore. You don't see that in McGillney. You don't see that in any of these old Leaf players.
He does look like he's 14. So
his dad's yelling from the stands, Mitch, go to the bench.
Mitch is not good playing against large men. He's great when the team's shitty and there's not a lot of pushback, but I've noticed in Mitch Marner, I'm a big Mitch fan.
Yep.
I think he's a great player. I think he asked for too much money. But I also think that, it's disgusting the way when there's a scrum, man, he's at the bench.
He's a hockey player. It'll be interesting to watch him come playoff time because he is playing out of his mind right now. In my opinion, this is the best he's ever played in his career as a Leaf.
Yeah.
But what we've seen from Mitch Marner is he needs the time and the space. And when you play heavier hockey teams that close the gap and don't give him a lot of room to wheel around and create, he's not nearly as effective. So it'll be interesting to see once we get back into playoff time, because he took a lot of heat last year in that loss to the Habs because he was nowhere to be found in those 7 games. So
even like the thing that Matthews hits too, right?
Yes. Well, Matthews is a big man.
He is. He's a tough guy. And you can see him getting pissed off out there, right? Like where Marner more looks like he's, let me out of here. Woo!
Yeah.
And Matthews is more like, okay, man, seriously? You're gonna screw with me? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's going to be interesting to watch him in the playoffs. Like, it's great that you're dominating right now. We love it. Good for you. Yeah. But you're going to play against Florida or Tampa. You're not going to get very much time and space to create. And so he's going to have to make that adjustment.
I think Shea Weber scared the shit out of him in the playoffs last year. Yep. I was saying that I could just picture him pinning Marner in the corner at one point saying, I am going to be all over you. I'm going to kill you. And Marner like, oh shit. You know what I mean? Like, and that's in the back of his mind every time he goes, like he Chris Prongered him. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
Now, I'm afraid that's going to happen again.
Brad, I said Sittler. I didn't make my picks yet, Brad. All right. So he said, how's no one mentioned Sittler? So I grew
up watching Sittler too.
You know what I mean? So just for you, buddy. All right. There he is. He's been in the queue.
Look at that shirt underneath the shirt.
Yeah, that's he had to go. That was the.
Is that a velour shirt? Like,
no, that's Roots. That's from Roots. That was the first Roots brand, I think. I don't know.
Okay. I have a question for you guys. Looking at this picture of Sittler and the one you keep showing of Dougie, what do you think of the? I was hoping when they did the Heritage game against Buffalo in a few weeks that the uni they'd be wearing would be like a rendition of this. Like, what do you guys think of the Arenas sweater that they're going to be wearing? Like the blue with the giant T.
I like that. I like that. It reminds me when I was a kid.
I think I'm a fan of all.
What's the new one? I guess we don't have a picture of the new one, do we?
No. Well, check it out. You'll find it anywhere online, but it's like it's like a throwback to like the old Arenas days, but it's like really basic. It's like a dark blue with a giant T up the middle of it, and then Arenas behind it that's like faded. Like you can't really see that it says Arenas, and it's kind of, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of underwhelming, and I was really hoping for a version of the 80s uni, because I love that uni.
Oh, I do too, man. Yeah, I have one of those shirts. It's a number 32 for who it was. Steve Thomas was on the team at that time. I don't know if that meant it. For some reason I have it, but I have a number 32. And when Austin Matthews joined the Leafs, I almost had it.
You know,
what
it's
numbers,
funny.
Austin?
Thomas was part of that. Thomas was part of that group there with Roberts.
He was. No, but what numbers, Austin Matthews?
34.
34. Sorry. Yeah. So I thought. Whoa, classic shirts. Oh, it's 32. Because I thought it's an oldie that I had. Like, yeah, there's a bit stain on it, you know. But yeah, that would have been cool if that was. But I love the retro logo you're discussing. Yes.
Now, funny, Chris. But the thing about Maple Leaf Gardens, I do remember you wearing that Leafs shirt live at a show.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Yeah, with the Thomas, because I would sit behind. And
I've always loved the Leafs, dude. That's like I say, that was the thing about when I was younger, is I played on the rep hockey team, and I hung out with a lot of the hockey guys, but I couldn't really say, hey guys, want to come over and check out my comic book collection, or play with my Star Wars toys? No, that they're out riding their dirt bikes and stuff, and helping their dad work on their cars, and or playing hockey outside. And I loved that. Road hockey was great. I got so many facial scars from road hockey. It's ridiculous. But I could never be like, hey guys, come check out my comic book collection. So that was just one of those things. But I've loved hockey, man. And I'm so excited to play again. I'm back, Rob. I got my training out there. I got this huge area, shoveled off on the ice. I'm out there on the skates and doing my training, man. I'm getting back in there.
Love it. Good for you.
Look at that. We got Brad Hoppers agreeing with Robert 100%. See, this is why we pay the big bucks, Brad. Rob's not coming on the show for free. I mean, we got to bribe him with comics and things, but he brings the knowledge.
Bribe me with a 20+ minute Batman conversation.
That's right. That's how we do it around here. But I mean, I think we are all, but I think every city is almost getting an opportunity to watch a little bit of greatness. Honestly. Mm-hmm. Every city's got sort of like, I know Matthews is at the top of the chain, but you got McDavid. We've got, well, for a while we had Pedersen, but we had Pedersen on fire and everyone was excited.
You could be living in New Jersey and
whatever, but every team is sort of has this, they've always had a star, but every team is kind of getting that. It's this new generation of player. They're all just really, really good. And so everyone's getting this new kind of thing. So Rob,
kids are all right.
Thanks. Thanks so much for
dude.
Joining
thanks
us
for having me, man. Great
time.
Tell
us about this. Tell us about the Talkin Buds podcast, man.
Yeah, buddy.
So it's my brother and I. We do a show once a week. It's available on YouTube or anywhere else you get your podcasts. It's just we're like a no nonsense Leaf show. It's like kind of the same talk that I had here with you guys. It's like we're not going to sugarcoat it, and it's. That's just it. If you're into two brothers sitting around drinking a couple beers and talking about the latest things going on with the Leafs and occasionally yelling at the top of our lungs, but also trying to remain level-headed, we're making, after last year's debacle against the Habs, we've really made like a conscious effort this year to be like, let's just relax. Let's just relax. We're going to get there. Let's see what happens in May, whatever. But yeah, Talkin Buds podcast, weekly show. Check it out wherever you get your pods.
Awesome, buddy.
And we tried to get Curtis on from Alberta, who has that magical Leaf room.
Oh my God.
He was going to try to join us today, but he wants to push it to next Monday. So maybe we can do it again and have another one. We don't often do Nerds on Ice. We try to do it once every 4 or 5 weeks because, it is a comic book show after all. Rob, you're welcome anytime to come on, my man, and definitely want to get your review of the Batman.
It was good talking to you, buddy. I loved your opinions on Batman. I loved your opinions on the Leafs, dude. Just thanks for coming on, pal. Yeah, likewise. And again, you've eased my concerns on the Batman movie. You know what I mean? And I just like talking about the Leafs.
I think you're gonna like it, Chris. I think you're gonna like it, man. If you're sitting here telling me that you like Hush, I think you're gonna like this movie.
Nice. I'd love to see the detective side. So.
You guys, everyone listening that's not watching, check out the Talkin Buds podcast on the Dean Bell Network and everywhere you get your pods. A couple of brothers hanging out, drinking beer, yelling at their screens, which is every podcast, we're brothers-ish. Chris and I, we've been together for a very, very long time. So we yell at the screen too a lot about other things. So we appreciate you coming on, buddy, and come back any single time.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Time. See ya.
Cheers, brother.
Rob, there he is.
Well, that was great.
Talkin Buds podcast, I like it when we cross, and you crossover guys and we can have these crossover shows. It's like when we do that with bands and it's like, I play rock and roll for a living, but I want to talk comic books. Or I got a Maple Leafs podcast, but I want to talk comic books. Hey, that's what we're here for.
Awesome stuff, man.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get clear room for Bonzi.
Yeah, he's coming up in a bit. A reminder, everybody, tonight is the last chance to donate to Pink Shirt Day for Jimmy. As I mentioned, we've cleared, we've gone over $2,000. If you still time to get in, I think we're down to like probably 4 hours now. But anything that you can do to help would be great. But everyone that's donated, we thank you so much for that. Really awesome of you all to be a part of that. That, my friends, has been Nerds on Ice. The Batman's coming out Thursday. I got a show, and then I'm hoping to see it after that out here. I wish I could see it with you, brother, but anyways, I won't be your way until April. So anyways,
soon enough, we'll be hanging out doing some stuff. Yeah. So I got a sick wife here today. So
that's the kids on the Escalator Podcast for a Monday night, everybody. Good times.
Rad dudes.
Thanks, everybody.